Welcome into the Safeguard Podcast. I am outnumbered.
Matt, can we please change the subject?
At Safeguard, we want to be versatile. We want to help in every way that we can and not just in one certain area or one certain product. We want to be holistic planners for you. A good agent or advisor should provide you good information regardless of whether they sell you something.
It is so frustrating that people are penalized for making a mistake when the government doesn't do anything to educate them.
Honestly, shouldn't it just be about helping people? Listen to this. 33% of men and 43% of women have no life insurance at all. That doesn't even count the people that don't have enough.
Insurance has the power to change people's lives.
You have got to be sure that you educate yourself before you make major decisions. Honestly, I couldn't imagine not being a Safeguard at this point. Hey everybody, welcome back in to Outnumber the Podcast. I am Matt McKay.
And I'm Stephanie McKay.
And we're excited to be back. It's been a little bit, but here we are again. Episode, 12?
12.
Number 12. So we're well into the double digits, almost to the teens. Next time we'll be 13, so we'll start getting emotional and get angry at nothing.
Start screaming for no reason.
Everyone hates me.
Oh gosh.
We're going to act the age of our episode number.
Oh boy.
From now on. What do you think?
Oh, I'm not sure I remember how to act like a 12-year-old girl.
You can pull it off.
Oh, thank you.
You can pull it from within yourself.
Okay.
Wait, how does she take that? Uh-oh. I'm sleeping on the couch.
Oh, gosh.
So anyway, today we're going to talk about budgeting. Last time we talked about some just real basic financial basics, things that you ought to know, a little bit of background on why we believe in being finance and taking care of things and not just floating about the earth like fairies, hoping that it all works out and wishing that we could go surfing every day. It's really important to take care of your money. It's not that money is everything, but obviously money plays a huge part in everything you ever do. So regardless of your beliefs and all that, you still need to take care of what has been given to you and do the right thing by what you have and hopefully make a difference. And so today we're going to talk about budgeting and just basically some of the real simple ideas and also getting into more how do you budget and what do you put in there, what do you not. And so Stephanie is I'd say an expert in the concept of budgeting. She really, like, if you look at our budgets that we've had, and they all have colors and it's on Excel, and you change one number and everything changes and all these calculations and all that, but you don't have to be that complicated in your budget, but she definitely has a lot of layers to the thoughts that she has within our budget.
Yeah.
And so really wanted her to take the lead today and just kind of talk to us about really whatever she thinks we ought to know about budgeting, but just give us some direction, give us some ideas on what a budget's like and how to put one together and try to save money.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'd call myself a budgeting expert, but I would definitely call myself a budgeting dork.
I guess let me give background, or if you want to, I don't know. I'll brag on her because maybe she won't. But basically from the canal, she... Sorry, that's a little graphic. From birth, she was trained on how to take care of money and stuff, and my parents did like the Dave Ramsey stuff and kind of knew ideas about stuff, but I didn't have the level of training, deep dive, accounting, whatever that she did, and so she was trained from a very early age how important things were to take care of and all that. Well, she, to kind of build up her resume about this a little bit, she started working when she was 15, saved all this money, by the time she was 19, she was able to get approved by a big bank for a mortgage, and was able to buy a house on her own. They didn't believe her that it was really her money, but it really was, and she proved it, and she was able to buy a house at 19. Because of her good money saving habits, she was able to make things work through tough times. When her first husband passed away, and she had built up some savings and had some funds to be able to survive while trying to figure out what to do next. And so that ultimately is the point, is not necessarily when things are going great, but when things go bad, are you ready for it?
Yeah.
And so, especially in our career, that's kind of what we specialize in, is making sure that the disasters don't end you.
Yes.
So that's that's kind of her resume about why she's really good at this subject. So now that you have a little background, now I'll shut up and you take the lead on whatever you want to say first.
Okay, well, you were basically asking, like, what does a budget look like? A budget can look different for every single person, and it should look different for every single person. Because what is in my budget and the things that I have to take into consideration, other people might not have. And other people might have things in their budget that I don't have to take into account. So what's important is what it looks like doesn't really matter. I saw a statistic about 39% of people still use paper budgets, like just a printout, and they fill it out.
Okay.
And that's great. It was pretty close to about the same uses like a banking app or something like that. That's some kind of app that helps them budget as well, or something provided by some type of institution like that helps them track a budget. That's great. Like he mentioned, I have an Excel spreadsheet. My spreadsheet is color coded. It's tracked based on when something is due, when it's going to come out. It's, if there's debt, it's color coded to know which things are going to pay off first in what order. Like, mine is more complex because I like to budget, and that speaks to me.
I would say also our situation is complicated because
That's
we get
true.
the way we get paid.
Yes.
We get paid randomly by a bunch of different companies. So
Yeah.
we may have several checks come in all at the beginning of the month or in the middle, and then nothing comes in for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Not
that's
really
very
nothing,
true.
but something very, very minimal
Small
comes
or
in.
meager, yeah.
We usually have something coming in, like a few dollars here and there every day or two. But it's really hard to track.
Yeah.
And we also have a lot of automatic draws because we get busy, and if we had to sit down and write every check that we ever had to pay, we would lose track of everything.
Yeah.
And so
Well, that actually
That
actually
plays
could
into-
segue me into another statistic. 35% of people report missing a bill just because they've forgotten about it. So kind of like you were mentioning, we utilize auto pay features to try to cut down on us missing a bill, potentially incurring a late penalty or something like that, depending on what bill it is. There are different things that you can do to try to help you not forget bills, but one of those things is to manage the budget. If you're looking at a budget every week, every month, however often, you're going to see those things and you're going to be reminded of what you need to pay. But as far as like where to start, I would start by looking at your income. You're going to need to know on average how much you have coming in each month. For some people, that is way easier than others. Like he was saying, for us, it is so hard to know what you have coming in because some months it could be a decent amount, some months it could be next to nothing, and you don't know. It just depends on the timing of the year. For us, for people who have like a regular paying W-2 type job where they make hourly income, and I'm going to be paid XYZ on this Friday or this whatever day, and you know exactly how much it's going to be, that's the easiest way to prepare for a budget. But not everybody fits into that. So I just basically look at what you've got coming in and try to average it as close to what you actually make each month, because that is kind of your foundation for knowing how much you have to spend each month. If you make $3,500 a month, but you're spending $6,000 a month, you have a problem, and a pretty large one. And some people's problem is they simply don't know how much they're spending every month. The statistic here says 65% of people don't know how much they spend on a month-to-month basis. That's kind of alarming, especially considering pre-pandemic, 67% of people say that they had a budget, and then now, post-pandemic, it's closer to 86%. I feel like maybe that's because, people are hurting for money a little bit more now with inflation and stuff like that. People are having to stick to a budget a little bit closer now because money is not flowing as freely as it was.
Okay.
But how do 65% of people not know how much they're spending when 86% of people post-pandemic are saying that they have a budget? Something is not adding up there.
That is what we're trying to prepare. We were talking about what we were going to talk about today, and I didn't know the fact about 65% have no idea. That sounds like what I was trying to talk about, because she said 86% of people have a budget. Yeah, okay, sure, but whenever I ask someone how much they spend or like whatever, they have no idea, and so we as busy people with a lot of luxury, whether we like to acknowledge that or not, we spend a lot of extra money and we just do stuff because it's there or we think it's there. And we ultimately spend a lot more. If you had the budget in mind, okay, I can't spend more than $1,000 on food a month or whatever, or the gas is this much or whatever. That helps you keep in line, so you try to gauge what you're going to spend over the month or over the year or whatever on certain things, and it helps you have a little bit of discipline versus hey, we feel like going to up the road and going to the zoo or something. Well, is that in the budget or is it not?
Yeah.
And that might help you make a decision moment to moment of, should I get tea or should I get water, or should I get an appetizer, or should we just pass on that? Should we get kids meals versus should we get whatever it is? Getting really into restaurant.
Yeah.
I'm hungry or something. But anyway, whatever it is, do I need this hose roller thing? What's that called? Garden hose thing. Like the thing where you roll up the garden hose. Do I need this right now? Or is that necessary? Whatever. Okay. And so in our budget, we try to account for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Even the little silly details like stuff for the garden or lawn care.
Things that might be forgotten, like car maintenance or home maintenance, like
random emergencies.
Some people don't account for those, but they need to be accounted for, because just because it's not a month-to-month expense doesn't mean that you're not going to have something come up eventually that you're going to need money set aside for it.
Even if it's just oil change, how much does that cost you a year if you think about it?
Yeah.
I mean, every 5,000 or 10,000 miles, depending on your car, you got to pay $30 to $70, depending on where you're going and what it costs, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's money that's going out of your pocket that you may not think about. Well, what if you pop a tire? What if something? We had a tree fall on our house and we had to spend about $1,000. Where did that come from? And so we try to account for that in our budget. Sometimes, you can't account for everything. I mean, stuff happens, right?
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
life is going to throw a curveball. That's just what
Right.
happens.
You know, stuff happens. A door breaks on the whatever, or you need the vacuum blows up, or whatever it is. But if you can try to account for that, that really helps. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be complicated either.
No, and like I said at the beginning, like everybody's budget will look different. Nobody's budget is going to look exactly like mine, and mine isn't going to look exactly like somebody else's because I have different concerns and priorities than somebody else has.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that you have to consider is what is important to you. Like if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're very strapped for cash, is there an area that you're spending a lot of money in that you can cut back and reduce, at least even if it's just for a temporary time, to put you in a better position in the future. That's what budgeting helps you do. And the statistic is 62% of people who have a budget and maintain it report feeling more confident in their finances. And there's a lot to be said for feeling confident and safe in your finances. It takes a lot of stress and anxiety off of people, even if they don't realize that they have that stress and anxiety. They might not know it, but it's there and it's taking a toll on your body and your well-being. And that kind of financial freedom or financial relief is so important. And so that's one of the reasons that budgeting is important. And I would just say basically after you look at your income, the second thing that you need to look at is what expenses you have that are variable and what expenses you have that are fixed. So a fixed expense is going to be something that's the same every single month. Your rent, your car note, different things like that. If you have a mortgage, different things like that. Insurance. Those are going to be something that is the exact same every single month. You know how much it's going to be. A variable expense is going to be something that could go up or down, like your electric bill or gas at the gas pump. Like our gas bill used to be way lower than it is right now. Gas prices are going up. So we have to account for having to spend more at the gas pump. That is a variable expense that you have to basically plan for and know, okay, I'm going to spend $50 more a month in gas than I was before. I don't know if that's how much it is, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it just depends on...
Is it $50 more a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably more than that.
More than that? I don't know. I don't usually fill up. You fill my car up.
$50 now.
I don't fill my car up enough to know anymore. You basically do it. But,
Well, when it was $2 and you have
that's...
$13 tank or
13 gallon, yeah.
14, you're in the 20s. Well, now that it's 4 plus, you literally double what you were paying before or more.
Yeah.
Because at some points it was below $2.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now it's $4.30 or something a year, $4.29.
Yeah, $4.25. It's up there for sure.
So that's a huge one.
Yeah, but those kind of expenses like that are variable, meaning they can change. Your food cost is generally going to be variable. Some months it might be more than others, and just like gas right now, food is something that is going up. So that's something that you have to account more for. Those are your variable expenses.
I was just going to say real quick,
Food and gas, I think, are two subjects that could really play a factor. We like to have fun, right? You like to go places, you like to do stuff, like to go out, right? But if you think about it, you go to Olive Garden or whatever, family of 4, you're probably going to spend, if everybody gets a meal, which we have young kids, so they don't really eat as much, and so we kind of share. But anyway, if everybody gets a meal, you're looking at probably $80.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Easy, yeah.
Versus if you went home and had frozen pizza, you could probably get away with maybe $10 or $15 worth of food. And so if you think about, if you have a budget, you can make choices within that.
Yeah.
Or even, okay, the budget's a little tight, we did have to go out to eat. Do we go to Olive Garden or do we go to McDonald's? Or do we go, Chick-fil-A versus, I don't know, Cane's or Zaxby's or something like that? Like who costs a little less than the other or whatever? And thinking about those things. Or on the gas side, do we want to travel 2 hours to go hang out with friends this one week, or is it not in the budget? Should we hold off on that? Or because a lot of times you don't think about like, oh, okay, we're gonna go to Florida, okay, and we're gonna drive or we're gonna fly or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What does all that cost? Because
Yeah.
you think about, okay, a hotel, okay, but what about the gas tank that you're gonna have to refill several times on your trip? You're gonna go to the mountains, whatever. It's gonna be 3 hours away or whatever it is. Now that gas is so high, it's really important to think about is that really worth it? And just make sure you account for it in your budget. So I just thought that was really important when you talk about variable expenses. Some of the choices we make can save tons of money, and that doesn't mean don't have fun, but think about it.
If you have a budget, it will show you how much money you have to spend on those fun things. If there's not enough money after you've paid your expenses and you've paid your obligations, then you know exactly where you stand on whether or not you can actually afford to do those things like you're discussing. And statistically, Americans overspend $7,500 per year. The reason for that is because people basically know that they don't have the money to do those things and they do them anyway. And it puts you behind. And once you get behind, it's so hard to it can be very, very hard to get back to even. And it's all about your spending habits and making wise decisions. And a lot of that comes from having your budget and knowing exactly where you stand. You can make better decisions when you know what you have to work with. And like I said, 65% of Americans don't know what they're spending each month. That is, it's easy to overspend when you don't realize how much you're actually spending.
Yeah.
That's really the bottom line of it.
This is a question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
I think it'll help narrow down what we're talking about. What if the budget, say someone runs their numbers and they make $5,000 a month, they're spending $5,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
The budget's negative, basically. They're spending more than they make.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do to get back right?
Ideally, you would find something in the variable expenses to reduce your cost. If you're spending, and it all depends on what is in your budget, but if you're spending $3,000 a year on vacations, but you're going $500 negative each month, maybe for this year you don't have the money to go on vacation. It's totally dependent on the individual circumstances of what is in your budget. But that is really what you should do, is look for ways to cut those expenses that you are spending out, or to reduce or lower them to a more reasonable amount. Because for some people, just saying, oh, just make more money isn't the answer.
If you work a salary, what are you going to do to make extra money?
Yeah, exactly. Or even if you're already working 40 hours and you make what you make, and even if a lot of people count overtime and they just expect that they're going to have that overtime and that's what they live on. But if you're still coming up short, you need to find ways to reduce what you're spending out to come out even. And it's basically, there's a concept in finance and financial literacy called instant gratification, which is just where you see something, you want it, you buy it. you're looking on Amazon, you see, ooh, look at these pretty sparkly shoes, I'm gonna buy them.
Shoes.
And they're $67 and you're, 2 months past due on your medical bill, but you bought the $67 pair of shoes. I get it. I like sparkly things too. And you have to be able to live your life. You can't do without things that you need. But in the same way, there's a concept called delayed satisfaction. That is what I used when I was 15 years old and I was working at one point when I graduated high school, I was working 3 different jobs. I didn't have to, I chose to, because I wanted to earn that money to put it towards something meaningful.
Isn't that illegal?
I did get in some trouble with the labor boards. One of my employers got wage and labor called because I was underage and I was working during school hours, and I did not know that was a problem. We found that out, but that's a different story. But I totally lost my train of thought there too.
Working 3 jobs. Delayed satisfaction.
Yes. So what I did was
Criminal.
I didn't go out and buy and just buy everything that I saw or blow all of my money. I had friends that were also working, or my sister, sorry Jenny, but my sister would just blow all of her money. And
We'll
when
send her the link to this. Go to 25 minutes and listen.
When she, we're 18 months apart. She's older than me. She didn't have nearly as much money to show for her working as I did. Of course, she had experience as she was going out with her friends. She was having fun, and that is what she chose to spend her money on, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I chose to delay that satisfaction, so to speak, and put it towards something meaningful, and it financially moved me forward in a very positive way. And so you just have to look at it. Okay, I used the vacation, you're spending $3,000 on a vacation, you're going $500 in debt each month. Okay, well, maybe you don't have time, or not time, maybe you don't have the money to go on vacation this year, but if you get your budget in order, you reduce your expenses and get back to where you need to be, then maybe you could find it in your budget to be able to go next year and do the vacation that you want to do.
Here's another random thought. You were talking about like finding things in your variable, but also I'd say sometimes we're spending money on things that we don't even realize.
That is true.
You go through, like, what we did was, like, we'll run through all of our bank accounts. If we have credit cards, we're running through credit card statements and whatever, seeing everything that we spent money on. And we'll ask, what is that? What's this YNAB thing?
Yeah.
Or what? Which is, you need a budget.
You need a budget app.
Which we don't really use.
What's his gym membership? Which
we clearly don't use.
I lost 3 pounds this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing good.
Oh yeah. We'll go to hibachi after this.
No, focus.
Okay,
You
sorry.
were so hungry.
Yeah, right. Ooh, hibachi.
No, would you focus?
Is it in the budget?
No.
Anyway, I like food.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys.
What was I talking about?
You need a budget, and you were talking about
saving money. Yeah,
looking at your statements and cutting.
Yeah. So what are we spending? What are we spending money on that maybe we could cut out?
Do you have a dish that is costing $130 that you could get cable for $50, or are you paying for this huge internet package and you don't play video games anymore because you have a job? Or could you cut back on this one membership for a few months so that you could save a few dollars? Can you defer payments on something? Whatever it is. Thinking about what the possibilities are with the money that you have was the point that I was getting at.
Yeah.
Again, I apologize. I'm maybe a little hangry.
we might end up at a buffet later.
Oh goodness.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But that would be quite hypocritical of us to just go spend a bunch of money. But anyway, but the point is, I think, to wrap this up a little bit, is there's hidden money sitting out
Yes.
there that
Yes.
even we sometimes go do something, and you gotta live your life, okay? Don't live in prison where you just can't function.
And you're so miserable because you have no
Yeah,
money to do
but
anything.
think
There's a
about it.
balance. You have to find that balance.
Weigh it out. Is it really worth it to go and get that?
Ice cream or to get the stuff that you don't really need right now, especially if you're tight.
Yeah.
Do you have your emergency fund built up? If you don't, try to pinch some pennies off somewhere.
If you don't have an emergency fund built up, skip on the buffet, skip on the ice cream, skip on the vacation until you have that emergency fund.
Yeah.
That is literally the only way I survived after my first husband Ryan passed away. The only way that I was able to make it was because I had an emergency fund built up where I basically saved whatever I could each month after our expenses were paid. And it's the only thing that got me through that hard time because I was going negative each month and I had nowhere that I could make cuts except to completely change the lifestyle that I was living in every way. And that emergency fund is what kept me afloat for over 3 years while I was still working and finishing college and some of those things and kind of getting started in my career. And it made a world of difference in my life. And is everything perfect? No, nothing is ever going to be perfect. But you're going to find confidence when you look at what you're spending, even if at first it's a shock. Even if you lay everything out from your bank account, you get your statement and you start looking and you write, each category down, and it's a complete shock to you how much you've spent. For one, that's going to show you exactly what you're spending out so you can be aware of it and correct it going forward, which is a big thing. But you're going to feel better in the long run. You're going to feel confident. You're going to feel less stress in the long run. And that is what matters ultimately in life, is to live as happy and stress-free of a life as possible. If you have to do without a few things for a year or two while you get on your feet, and then you can live the lifestyle that you want because you've planned for it, you're going to be in a much better, much happier position than if you never plan for it, ignore the problem, and the problem continues to compound on itself and get worse.
Which we've been there and are digging out of still in some ways. So
We feel you if you're there, and we're right there with you in some ways. But speaking of, to the people that maybe have some debt or you're going negative and all that, next week we're going to talk about dealing with debt while trying to make major purchases, because it's really difficult sometimes when you get behind and you're not sure what to do. So if you're in that position and you realize that you're going negative, do not let it continue to bleed. Get a Band-Aid on that. Even if it's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, it's still better.
It's still better than a gaping wound.
Yeah, don't bleed out. Try to do something.
And so get it together now before you have massive debt, because there's a reason that there are debt management companies out there and all that, and there's a reason that they do well, because other people are not, and they're helping people try to get out. And then there's a reason that the credit card companies run their ads, because people end up making them lots of money. So instead of handing all your money to the credit card company, go save your money and spend it somewhere that you really want to, and not on credit card interest and debt.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're excited about next week. Like, subscribe, hashtag, #, whatever.
So old.
Double tap, whatever. Look at all our pages, check out the podcast, check out the website. If y'all have questions, as always, on your life, health, retirement, we're happy to help. And we love you. God bless. Hope this helped you out.
Before you close, you didn't let me finish.
Oh, my bad.
So
See ya.
I last time
That's all,
I
folks.
promised a budget sheet.
Oh, yeah.
So if you look in the information detailed below, whatever source you're watching this on, whether it's the podcast pages or whether it's YouTube or Facebook, I will have a link to a downloadable budget that you can use as a template. I've also got some saving sheets in there. If you have a goal that you're trying to save for, you could use these sheets to help you mark off as you get closer to that goal. There's some pretty cool little stuff in there. It's 4 pages. So go ahead and go download that, and at the very least use it to get you started going in the right direction.
Yeah. I'm glad we didn't quite finish, because that's really important.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just thought it was time.
You just got excited.
It's time to go eat.
Okay. All right. We got to go have lunch.
But take care, y'all. We love you. Like I was saying, give us a like and subscribe.
And give us a call, 270-904-6070, and we're happy to help you, okay?
All right, talk
Take
to you
care.
next time. Bye.
Go Tops.